When it comes to getting maximum value for your buck, few boatyards can match the power of Cobra yachts in Poland. Now this is their very latest brand new project. It is the Cobra Campione 41 Flybridge. And this really very substantially sized boat starts at a remarkably affordable €279,000. Now, don't get me wrong, I realise that's an appreciable sum of money, but just look at the amount of boat you get for it compared to more expensive, more premium built yards. And also, being brand new, they've got some really interesting new ideas on it. In fact, this particular boat was designed in Italy by Progetti. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, but it sounds pretty flash. And it is a very striking, modern looking boat. Just look at the size of some of those hull windows, for instance. The other big change is that they have given it a much broader cruising speed. So you'll see that the hull of this is a full planing design. It's a medium V shape. You can have single or twin engines, and that will mean you can have full planing performance up to 27 knots from a pair of Yanmar 370 horsepower shaft drive diesel engines. And of course that means it gives you a much bigger cruising range. You can take it to sea, cover big distances fairly comfortably. So I'm going to show you every single detail on board. My name is Hugo Andreae. You're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go and check out the new Cobra Campione. Right, let's get going. You can see we've got very easy access onto this big stern platform area, and quite unusually for a boat of this size, rather than having a bathing platform at a different level to the cockpit, it is all on one level. And that means you get a really big open cockpit space. Now, one of the reasons it's relatively affordable is that they keep things simple. They don't try and make it overly complex or fussy with lots of expensive moldings. Here, for instance, we've got the furniture for the cockpit, which is just freestanding modular furniture. You can see it's very easy to move around. You can have it facing in, you can have it facing out, you can have tables, do whatever you want with it. But by keeping it simple and keeping it flexible, you can choose what you want. You can go as expensive or as affordable as you like. If you want to, they probably will provide some molded in seating and a table, or you can buy your own freestanding furniture, whatever you choose. Now, the other interesting thing to point out is you'll see that this is in fact a full width cockpit. So at this level, there are no side decks. They only start further forward, but that means you get all this extra space in this cockpit area here. Quite nice little bar area they've done here. You can see that this is a large lifting window. So that just closes down like that when you want to close it all up, but opens up on a big gas strut. So that takes all the weight for you. And this creates a rather nice bar area. In fact, if we lift this section here and fold it out, you've even got a nice little place to rest your drinks. Now again, you know, there are some little details. You can see exposed screw heads or whatever, but it means you're not paying a massive premium for expensive solutions. You can still get exactly the same use out of it. It looks pretty much as good, and you just get it at a whole lot less money than you otherwise would. Now this is the Flybridge model. I should point out that you don't have to have the Flybridge. There is a coupe version too. In fact, right next door you can see the coupe model, and of course that keeps the air draft low. If you're using it on the inland waterways, for instance, you may not want a Flybridge. But if you're using it at sea, or at least there's no restriction on air draft, you get a lot of extra boat up here. Check out the size of this Flybridge. Really big sun lounging area up front. Kind of what we call a floating helm station. You can see it's very sort of minimalist little structure. There's not an awful lot to it, but you've got everything you need. You've got the throttles on the left-hand side for this instance. That's a little bit unusual, but not difficult. We've got a fairly small chart plotter here. Obviously you can upgrade that to a bigger one, but you've got a helm, you've got a place you can put a bigger chart plotter if you want to. You've got the Yanmar engine readouts. And of course, a really nice sociable helming position. You've got a good view down the side, forward. You've got people lying in front of you, sitting next to you. You've got a big bench here. Certainly space for a couple of people to sit there very comfortably. Big wet bar area here. We've even got a Kenyan grill and a sink and a fridge. And another big seating area, excuse me, another big seating area at the stern here. Fold out table. Nothing particularly fancy. They haven't gone to the expense of fitting real teak or anything like that. But again, does that really affect the enjoyment of the boat? I don't think so. You can happily sit around the table, have your meal up here. Got a big fabric bimini overhead providing some shade. And plenty of space to move around. Again, don't forget, this is only a 41-foot boat. But look at the size of that Flybridge. Right, come on, let's go downstairs and check out a bit more. Now notice the steps are cut out like this to make it easier to go down. It just means you need to start on the right one and then make your way down step by step. So let's go through and have a look at the saloon. Now we've got sliding glass doors on this side. They don't go a long way over. It'd be nice if that opened up just a tiny bit more, but perfectly good access, and thanks to that window you do have a nice big opening. Galley area on this side. Got my notebook there. All the basics, couple of induction hobs, sink, pretty decent size, only the one but a decent size. Storage bin, oven down there, more storage. Relatively slender fridge here, but there are various other fridges around the boat. So we have got a small freezer area up there and a second drawer down there for your champagne bottles by the looks of things. Somebody's obviously happy. Eye level lockers here. You probably do need those, to be honest. A bit of a shame because it cuts out a bit of the view from the helm, but you probably do need that extra storage space. And then over on this side, we've got a dining space, good sized table. Quite a smart finish. We've got a little bit of woodwork in there inside the lacquered moulding. A couple of freestanding stools so that you can sit all around the table. Big windows. It's a bit of a shame because it's a little bit dark in this corner of the Düsseldorf Exhibition Centre. You don't get the full effect, but you can imagine if you're outside on a nice sunny day, you've got big vertical windows all the way around, so should get lots of natural lighting. There is some artificial lighting here, sort of inset. It's quite discreet. It is adjustable. You can change the strength of that, so you can dim it down or ramp it up if you want to. And this, you can see, is where the side deck starts. So quite cleverly at the helm station here, they've got doors on both sides, one right next to the helm and another over on this side, which means you've got access out to the foredeck and a really good tall gunnels here. You can see that's actually waist height, but then very nice and easy to move around here and up onto the foredeck. That's quite unusual. They've got sort of raised moulding there, presumably to make space for the anchor and windlass, but you've got a sunbed on this side, and of course it's not hard just to step across onto that side if you want to. But very nice tall guardrails all the way around, nice wide side decks, and good deep gunnels, so very safe to move here. And because these come a reasonably long way back and you've got your cleats here, you can actually reach everything you need to. You can hang fenders off there, you can hang fenders out of that cockpit area there, so there is good enough access to get to all the things you need to. Helm station, as with the rest of the boat really, it's kind of simple, unpretentious, but does what you need it to do. There's the throttles for the Yanmars. We have in fact got a joystick control, so I believe this has bow and stern thrusters. So that will link the bow and stern thrusters and the throttles and the steering and give you that very easy berthing option. You can move it sideways, you can twist it on the spot. Two decent sized ray marines. We've got full access to all the yacht's facilities. You can see all the tanks there. You've got lighting options. You've got cabin deck lights, deck wash. So all accessible through the Ray Marine software system. Bit of extra space here. We've got very nice little air freshener set in there. Port and starboard lights, thruster, and actually quite a big space in front of the helm there. Because you've got that reverse angled screen giving that slightly kind of explorer look to the exterior of the boat, you actually get a fair bit of space in front of that helm station. And then steps down into the main accommodation. Now things get really quite interesting down here. Apparently you have the option of 2 or 3 cabins. This is the 2 cabin version, and I'll show you how that works, because even that is unconventional. Check out this for a cabin. So the bed is set at an angle. That is the starboard side of the hull. So rather than being like an island berth or looking across the beam of the boat, it's tucked in the corner there and faces in at an angle. Now there's quite a lot of level changes going on here in the deck head. You can see there's full standing headroom at the entrance here, but then some of those mouldings do intrude a bit above the bed. So if you're sleeping on that right-hand side of the bed, you will need to be a little bit careful when you sit up in bed, just to make sure you don't bang your head. But there is a seat in here. There is plenty of standing headroom at the entranceway here. I look a bit dark, but you can see we've got a massive amount of headroom. That's well over 7 feet there. And that stretches quite a long way into this side of the cabin. So you've got full standing headroom here, and then you need to crouch down to get into bed. But quite a decent size. It does taper a little bit. It's almost like a sort of diamond-shaped bed, but there's enough room for a couple to sleep there very comfortably. There's a small vanity unit here with a swing-out stool, so you can sit there, do your makeup. You can see the bed is quite close to the floor level, but that means you can comfortably sit on this corner of the bed and just about get enough seating headroom. There is access to the bathroom, its own ensuite bathroom, and this being the master cabin, that's no less than you'd expect, and a pretty good sized bathroom at that. Again, there's a few different kind of step changes. You'll notice there's a bit of a step there, and then a second little threshold just leading into the shower, presumably to stop the water flooding out. Big mirror helps bounce light around. Quite a smart sink, stylish black tap, little opening porthole, give you some fresh air in there. And a rather smart black shower with a sort of overhead rain shower effect. Handheld one. Looks like a sort of stone finish. I don't think it is real stone, but quite clever. It's all sort of textured with a bit of interesting veining and so on. Looks very like real marble. Likewise, wooden floor, draining section. Quite simple door, but again, it's a door. What do you need from a boat? Then moving forward into the VIP cabin. Another quite quirky shape, if I'm honest. So again, you can see the bed is tucked in across that starboard hull. Not a conventional shape at all. It seems to be angled at the top there. So you've got a bit more length in that corner. Another slight quirky angle there, but big enough for 2 people. Masses of headroom. Again, check this out. Easily 7 foot of headroom in here. Lots of good light coming in. There's some big bow windows for a boat of this size. Plenty of natural light. Got some interesting patterns and things overhead in some of the artificial lighting. We've got a deck hatch giving you a bit of fresh air. Not a huge amount of storage in here. I think there's a fairly small locker in there. There's no automatic light or hanging rail, but again, it just means the whole thing is more affordable. There's a bit of storage under here, I think. Here we go. Now, I don't quite know how the third cabin would fit in here. There is, of course, a bathroom for this one. It's not quite en suite, but it's very much your own private bathroom and literally right next door. They probably could have given ensuite access through there if they'd wanted to, but they've chosen to go like this. Decent amount of headroom, relatively tight, bit of a squeeze when you close the door behind you. You've got to kind of step into the corner and close the door. But you can see it's a wet room. There's not a separate shower area. It's all part of the same space. So relatively restricted in space, but you do have your own private bathroom for the second cabin. But apparently, in order to get a third cabin, I believe what they do is split this cabin in two, and then you end up with two quite small twin cabins. But apparently it's possible to have 3 cabins and 3 bathrooms on board. And in fact, if you do that, that means you've got 6 people sleeping down there, and you'll notice that this dinette is also on high-low legs, so you can, in fact, sleep up to 8 people on board this 41-foot boat. So, there you have it. That is the accommodation space. There's just one more thing to show you, and that is the engine room, because there's quite a lot of different options. So let's have a look down there, and I'll talk you through them. So this is access down into the engine room. You see you've got a really big hatch here, and an awful lot of space. This is actually on V-drive, so all this area here is unused. You could store a lot of kit down here. Now the choice of engines is very broad. You can have anything from just a single 80 horsepower Yanmar to these twin 370 horsepower. Now obviously if you just go for the single 80, you're very much down to displacement speeds only, and in that case you can have an engine fuel tank of just 70 litres or so, but if you're using it on inland waterways, that's probably all you need. But if you want to get a bit more speed, you can have these twin 370s. You can see the V-drive gearbox in there. The power goes forward and then reverses under the boat on conventional shafts, and then you've got top speed of up to 27 knots and a fuel tank of up to 1,000 litres. Now there's not a lot of clearance over these engines, but you can see you can get along either side, you can go through the middle, and you've got all this space. In fact, somebody is storing a few fenders over there. So there is the stern thruster that I mentioned, and here are a great string of house batteries to make sure you've got enough power. Let's finish up this tour of the Cobra Campione 41 stood in front of the coupe version. So this is the boat you see here. It doesn't have the Flybridge, you get a lower air draft, but still surprisingly stylish looks. Now, I must be honest with you, I mentioned earlier on that the starting price of that Flybridge starts at 279,000 euros, and it absolutely does. But this particular one, with the big engines and all the spec you saw on it, actually comes to about 590,000 euros. So there is quite a bit of extra kit on there that will bump the price up. But it is perfectly possible to get this boat with the small single engine and all those styling features, if not some of the finish and extra bits and bobs, for under 300,000 euros. So do let me know what you make of it in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching.